Hi everyone, my name is Professor Cherian Garcia Durante and this is Everyday Learner. Let me ask you a question. Do you have a social media account? Probably your answer would be definitely. And you probably have more than one social media account, right? Social media nowadays is no longer a luxury or a hobby. It is already a necessity. This is what we use to communicate. And especially if you're a generation Z or a generation Alpha, you probably are using social media as your major means of communication. Now, for this next webinar that Everyday Learner and Above and Beyond Classrooms will host, we will be talking about social media addiction and its effects on your mental well-being. Now, if you're interested in that, join us on our next webinar. Now, let me give you some tips. So, these are my personal tips on what I ask myself first before I post anything on the internet or on my social media account. So, I have this acronym. Have you heard of Think Before You Post? If you've heard of that, I apply that in my posts once I do social media. So, so you have there think before you post, and think stands for the following: T, is it true? H, is it helpful? I, is it inspiring? N, is it necessary? And K, is it kind? Now let me discuss a little bit about this. So every time you want to post something on the internet, the first question that you have to ask yourself is this true? So, for example, you found a news or an article that seems to be very interesting. Before hitting that share button, make sure that you do some fact checking to ascertain the veracity of what you're posting. The next question that you have to ask yourself is it helpful? Letter H. Now, I know that many of us want to, post our thoughts on social media. Some of us even rant on social media because, if you have this overflowing emotion, you just want to post that on social media. But I have to warn you to be very careful when you post these things on social media, because when you post something, it has to be helpful to some people, especially those who are your friends and whose timeline your post will be seen. So make sure that what you are posting adds something to them. Letter I, is it inspiring? Many people do social media to impress others. Why don't you do social media to impact others? And this is the reason why we started Everyday Learner, is to be able to influence and inspire people. And when you post something on your social media account, you have to ask yourself, will this add something to the people who will read it? Or will it just, discourage them? So if it's very discouraging, then probably this is not the right platform to actually say those words. Letter N stands for, is it necessary? Now, when you post something on social media, you have to ask yourself, does this really need to be out there in the world, in public? I know that you can delete your posts, but sometimes even though you have deleted them, you cannot delete them from the timeline or the news feed of others. And that's why you have to make sure that before you post anything, you have to look at yourself and ask yourself, is it really necessary to post this on social media? And last but not the least is it kind? Especially nowadays where there are issues in terms of mental health, cyberbullying, bashing, trolling. People are not careful with their words. And we know that words can tear down others. So you have to make sure that your words, the words that you post on social media, is filled with kindness. And that's one of the things that you should ask yourself before hitting that send or post button. Now let me review the 5 think before you post. Letter T, is it true? H, is it helpful? I, is it inspiring? N, is it necessary? And K, is it kind? Now if you liked this part of this video, and you want to apply it, please do so. And let's do social media responsibly. And if you want to learn more about social media addiction, about the statistics, which sites are we looking at, which sites are your children looking at, and you want to know more about social media addiction, and if you're an addict, just go to the description box. We have a test for you. It's a social media addiction test. You will find out if you are an addict. And then we have this DASS test also for you. It's a scale to test depression, anxiety, and stress levels. And then we will collect this data afterwards, and we will know, is there really a connection between social media addiction and depression, anxiety, and stress. And if you want to join us, this webinar will be on July 28th. So there's a link there for you to set that reminder and just and join us for this webinar. Thank you so much. If you have friends who are you think are addicted to their phones, you can share this video, and maybe they will join us and have some cure. What is the cure to social media addiction? How can I win myself of it? So we will have that discussion as well on our webinar. Thank you so much. Once again, this is Professor Cherry Ann Garcia Durante from Everyday Learner. God bless us all.